Good morning and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. I'm your host. And it is a Monday morning, back from an incredible weekend. Did you enjoy that weather? Can we have more of that? Well, we'll find out. Some of you might be experiencing a little rain this morning. It's really even hard to say there were sprinkles out there. I was just thinking, like, when you put a little spritz in the air and you walk through it like perfume, that's kind of how the rain was this morning down where I drove in from. But what about you? We'll find out if anything is coming for our area with our aspiring meteorologist in just a second. We're going to do an Olympic wrap-up. That's right. It is over. Did any of you watch the closing ceremonies? Drop comments in about what you felt from yesterday and what your favorite maybe was over the last week and a half of our Olympics, over the last couple of weeks of our Olympics, I should say. We've got news you can use, and then we'll tell you about some sports news on what is on tap tonight, as well as some news that could be lingering for months, even years from now, that has to do with the Olympics. All that coming up for you this morning, along with our Ask the Doctor segment, our Medical Monday, Dr. Sarah Jensen with Regional Dermatology. Today, we thought we would focus on the kids, but adults happen, unfortunately, have this in their lives as well. Acne, hormonal changes as the kids go back to school. We're talking acne, pigmentary issues, as well as we'll touch a little bit on skin cancer, and we might go even deeper into that in coming weeks. All that for you on a Monday. Let's first say good morning to our aspiring meteorologist with our What the Weather segment.
Alrighty, welcome back into this new more weather forecast video. Has been looking significant for a couple of days. So
good morning to you.
Good morning, Monica.
Finally.
Nice to be here.
All right, it is 7:02 on this Monday, August 12th, and good morning to you, Beckett.
Good morning. How was your weekend?
Oh my gosh, it was good. How was yours?
It was good. Played golf and hang out with friends, so it was nice to wrap up the summer.
Did you play good?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Now, you're starting back to school today, freshman year, right?
Yes, freshman year.
This is exciting for you. We've been talking about how you're excited about meeting new friends, really getting into new studies, and he mentioned his favorite topics, his favorite subjects, I should say, last week. You want to tell them what that is again?
History and geography.
Yep, there we go. I would have thought it was more scientific.
I like the meteorology side of science, but everything else, not so much.
That's awesome. All right, so we were talking about unseasonably cool, not warm, unseasonably cool weather. In fact, I was cold. I brought a blanket to the Muni on Friday. That's how chilly it was for me. So what are we expecting this week? Are we going to start seeing temperatures go up again? And do we need that umbrella?
Yeah, so we are going to be warming up to about where we should be for this time of the year as we go later on into the week. But we're going to be keeping those below average temperatures at least for the next couple of days. And yeah, like you mentioned, bringing that blanket to the Muni during the nighttime. It has been getting cold during the nighttime as we go into the early morning. As well, looking at the boathouse right now in Forest Park, it's looking like a pretty nice morning, though we do have cloudy skies, a couple peaks of sunshine, though, here and there. 9-mile-per-hour winds, 74 degrees this morning. Humidity is not too bad at 54%, and then tonight we'll have a sunset at around 7:58 p.m. Now, as we look at the bus stop forecast, again, going back to school, change that from the weather schedule to the bus stop forecast. 74 degrees this morning and cloudy, but then as we move into this afternoon, we had a couple sprinkles this morning, but then as we move into the afternoon, we're going to have some more heavier rain move in. Likely as we get towards 1 to 2, maybe towards 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then this evening, and should be out of our hair by late this evening. But 76, so not warming up. Again, this is more spring-like temperatures, definitely not feeling like those August-like temperatures. This is way below average for this time of the year, and again, rainy this afternoon with those showers moving in. Then lastly, our 7-day outlook, again, 76 as our high today. That rain moving in this afternoon, a low of 66, so again, it's going to get cool and chilly as we go towards those evenings. You can see we warm up through this week. Tomorrow, 82 degrees, so really warming up. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, 2 rain chances, and I think Wednesday is going to be our best bet for seeing some storms in the St. Louis area. So we're going to have to watch for storms, especially on Wednesday and also on Thursday, where we do warm up to about where we should be this time of the year, around 90 degrees. And then that sun moves back in as we get into the weekend. A lot of sunshine and also cooling back down, so looking great as we head into the late this week.
All right, Beckett, thank you so much. And so I'm excited for you to kick off high school. So by the time we talk to you on Friday, you'll have a handful of days in to give us a full report of how your first week of high school is.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great week.
All right. Thank you, Beckett. Be safe out there. And to all of you, by the way, a reminder, like I said last week, we've got new drivers on the roadway. And with the rain that you're seeing that Beckett had in the forecast this week, just be careful. One, it's always difficult when they're out there new driving, but then you start to mix in, again, a forecast with rain, and that makes it a little bit more dicey. So please slow down. Just be careful of all of you on the roadways. All right, let's get into some news you can use. And we're going to start off with unrest in Ferguson. It sounds like I'm talking 10 years ago with what happened with Michael Brown, where there were protests that took place on Friday. And they started out peaceful until it got close to midnight, and then it all changed again. Today, our thoughts and prayers going out to the officer, Travis Brown, who was injured on Friday. There was unrest around the front part of the Ferguson Police Department. It had to do with some fencing, and there were protesters that were trying to take down a large portion of that. So the chief called out for arrest. Officer Travis Brown was carrying out just that, and one of the protesters forcefully pushed him with his shoulder, knocking Officer Travis Brown to the ground, and he has suffered a head injury. He is in critical condition in the hospital. And there was a press conference that was held with the chief, Troy Doyle, extremely passionate, breaking down what he will not accept in his city.
What are we doing? 10 years later, I got an officer fighting for his life. It's enough, and I'm done with it. We're not doing it here in Ferguson. Our community is united behind us. Our community is fed up. We want to heal. Our community want to heal. We want people to peacefully protest, but we damn sure ain't going to allow you to destroy this city, and we ain't going to allow you to hurt none of these police officers. We are united here in this city. We're done with it. We're not doing it anymore.
I watched that entire press conference, and I have head-to-toe chills right now. Extremely passionate about this is enough. I have been wanting to do this for a long, long time. You saw that credit to KSDK News. When I was at Channel 5, one of the things that I was very passionate about was to sit down with our chiefs of police and to sit down with members of the community that are against our law enforcement officers. Would you all want to be at that? It is something that I've been putting out there for many years now to say, what do you want us to do on both sides so that we can finally do what Chief Doyle is saying, that is to unite and not divide. We will continue to follow this story, and I ask for all of you for your thoughts and prayers for that officer. We'll continue to update you on his condition. Another thing that broke my heart when I was driving in this morning was listening to KMOX radio and hearing the news about this gentleman. Ronald McDonald House President Dan Harbaugh, you see there on the left, an incredible human being, an icon in our city. One of my favorite interviews that I did when I was at Fox 2 was with that man and all the things that he did for Ronald McDonald House Charities, but really our city as a whole. He was deeply involved in St. Raphael's School, where I do my auctioning and emceeing every year. It is going to be such a void to not have him. He lost his battle with cancer yesterday. Thoughts and prayers to Dan's family and to all, and a lot of us who were touched by his life. Well, let's switch gears to the Olympics. Can you believe it wrapped up? I know we were so enthralled with watching that. I think I watched more TV in the last couple of weeks than I have in about 15 years. It was exciting to watch all of the athletes, and it doesn't matter what sport. Thank you to those athletes for all their blood, sweat, and tears. It was just an absolutely incredible performance in every one of the sports. Last night was yesterday afternoon was the closing ceremonies. It was exciting to watch. Let me give you the medal count, by the way. We did come out on top. Congratulations to the USA. And you remember when we sat here in the studio and asked for more gold? Well, they kept asking and they kept getting. United States right there, 40. We actually tied with the People's Republic of China with regards to gold medals. But overall count, look at that, 126. Japan, by the way, in third, Australia in fourth, and France in fifth. All right, as far as some sports news with regards to the Olympics, this has been interesting to follow. Have you heard about the stripping of a bronze medal? That is a possibility, but the appeal to this could go on for days, weeks, months. It could even be years. I don't know if this is the correct way to say the name. I hope it is. Jordan Chiles, stripped of a gymnastics bronze medal. However, the U.S. Olympic officials say they are going to appeal the court ruling that resulted in the American gymnast being asked to return the bronze medal that she won in the Paris Olympics floor exercise. The Court of Arbitration for Sport voided an on-floor appeal by her coach that vaulted her to third, saying the appeal came 4 seconds beyond the 1 minute time limit for scoring inquiries. So reallocating the bronze now from last Monday's women's floor final to the Romanian Ana Barbosu, I believe. Again, if I'm butchering these names, I apologize, but this is not something I've been studying over the last couple of weeks. However, what do you think about that? Feel free to drop anything in that you feel about. I feel horrible for her because it wasn't her fault, and that's really what everyone's saying. It's not on her, so what will happen with this? Well, the appeals will continue, and we'll continue to follow that. Did you watch the U.S. women's soccer game on Saturday? And I want to thank Kelsey, who's part of our team, saying, Monica, what did you think about that? You know, I was a big soccer player, so it was so exhilarating to watch. We did come out victorious, winning against Brazil 1-0, winning gold yet again. Way to go, girls. And then it was into the closing ceremonies. And how exciting was this? It was truly Hollywood, which makes sense because it's a handoff from Paris to LA for the 2028 Olympics. The really cool thing was the Hollywood sign then transformed, the O's on the Hollywood sign goes into the rings of the Olympics as they do the handover. Then I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers as well as Billie Eilish, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre all performing in Hollywood as they get ready to say, bring it on, let's go LA. You also may have seen her performing the national anthem. She was wonderful as well. It was exciting to see the transfer from Paris to LA. And again, the wrap up of it, so unbelievably emotional for all those athletes and just, heartfelt to see really what we hope would happen in the world, which is bringing the whole world together and the unity that you saw with all of the countries. So that was the wrap up of the Olympics yesterday. We've got our own local sports news. The Cardinals and the Reds, they're in action tonight. First pitch will be at 5:40, and they'll be playing them again over the next couple of nights. I mentioned some things to do possibly in our area with the nicer weather. I had a chance to see In the Heights at the Muni on the opening, which was on Friday. It wraps up this Thursday, and then they hand it over to Anything Goes to wrap up the Muni season for 2024. If you have not seen In the Heights, it was the debut of that at the Muni this year. If you like a little Latin music, it's exciting. The music is great, and if you're a fan of Hamilton, it's from the creator of Hamilton, so that fast-moving delivery, that, again, I couldn't even pick a favorite from the night because they all performed so well. A couple of technical difficulties, so I think it's interesting. I've never had rain delays before in my life. I've never had delays before, but for the first time ever, Jim and I have experienced both of those this season. Glad they got it worked out and we were able to see the rest of it. So yeah, if you're looking for something to do with the kids before they return to school maybe next week, go take them to the Muni to see In the Heights. All right, that's a wrap up of the news you can use, our Olympic news, our local sports news, and our weather. And now I want to do this. The woman is the most incredible entertainer of our time. I had a chance to see Pink for the third time, this time at the Dome. And that is how the night went. Her Summer Carnival 2024 tour. She is not only incredibly athletic, but she has a heart of gold. She has the most insane talent when it comes to how she can sing. And before she came on stage, Sheryl Crow was on, and I saw a post from her about 18 hours ago. She said, no kidding, the woman blew me away. Not only is Pink's voice insane, and not only does she fly through the air while she's singing, she makes everyone in the room feel seen and loved. And there is not one thing about the woman that is not truly authentic and that doesn't ring true. What an amazing artist and a woman. Such an honor to play for her audience. And here in St. Louis was her kickoff, Sheryl Crow's kickoff, touring with Pink over the next several months. I loved it. I hope you did as well. If it's your first time that you ever had a chance to see her, I bet you it won't be your last. Like I said, for me, it was my third. All right, everyone, I'll be looking at your comments about any of that we talked about, anything that really stands out. Kelsey will let me know. She's in studio here with me. Yeah, do you have any? There's good ones?
They're talking about the metal.
Talking about the metal? Okay, so stripping of the metal. We all, I think, probably agree that it should not be happening. Yes, let's see. She should get to keep the medal. Sounds like they made an error in not catching that sooner, if they really were late, so they are blaming her for the error. Right, they should not be doing so. I feel bad for both girls. I think they should give them both the bronze medal. I agree. They also said they may give them both a bronze. That's what Kelsey was telling me. They're looking at that. The basketball games, the guys and gals, was a nail biter. The basketball finals, Linda says, also same thing, nail biter. Love the Tom Cruise skit in the closing ceremonies. And then Jill Moore, that's Beckett's mom, by the way, said, let's flood the officer with prayers in Ferguson. Absolutely. The rest of you saying good morning, good morning, good morning. And I say good morning to you. It's kind of like Pink on Saturday night. She said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thought it was the cutest thing. I say the same thing to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for watching. And remember to share the love of the show, because we are wanting to do what Pink mentioned on Saturday night, and that is bringing light and love to all of you. Well, we are excited to have in the blue chair Dr. Sarah Jensen with Regional Dermatology in Chesterfield and in Festus. I'm making my appointment, hopefully for this coming Friday. We're getting in to take care of our skin. What about you? Have you been trying to get into a dermatologist and you can't? Well, Dr. Jensen can get you in, and she's already gotten several of our viewers in, and they've all fallen in love with her. Take care of your skin. Those kids' hormones are changing. We're going to talk about acne, pigmentary issues, and skin cancer in our Medical Monday. Ask the Doctor when we return.
I'm excited to announce my all-new mattress topper. In the times we're in, I wanted to bring you the best affordable mattress topper ever. So I took my two best technologies and combined them to make the ultimate mattress topper. And now you can get it for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. It all starts with my famous MyPillow foam that provides you that overall full body support. Second is the individual comfort supports that give you an amazing custom sleep experience. It's like it's made specifically for you. The queen size alone has over 14,000 comfort supports. This is the perfect mattress topper to improve any bed. New bed, old bed, your guest beds. Get them for every bedroom in your house. Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the all-new My Mattress Topper for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. Don't delay, order today.
And welcome back to you. It is 7:18 and thrilled to have you as part of the Real Monica Adams show. I just saw Jen saying it was the third time for her seeing Pink as well, and she will never miss one of her shows. Now, this is what's funny, though. My husband said, okay, this is my third time. No more, Monica. So you're going to ask somebody else. I almost asked this woman to go with me, Dr. Sarah Jensen with Regional Dermatology. You almost got a phone call from me to ask if you wanted to. See?
I would have
so
loved that.
he goes, no more, Monica. And I said, I didn't say you had to go. I was going to take Sarah or my friend Sherry. I had a handful of people saying, I have an extra ticket. And he's like, all right. He does enjoy it, even though he won't admit it. He does enjoy it, but he's like, I don't need to see her any longer. Have you ever seen her?
I haven't, but I love music. So yeah.
Okay, so now I know that. So you're going to come with me to a future show. She's mind-blowing. So next time she comes in, do not miss it.
I saw your photos, though. You guys, he looked happy in the photos.
Yeah, thank you, right?
Yeah.
He tries to say that he's not, but he was for sure. Okay, so we were talking about kids going back to school. There are a handful of districts that are actually starting this week, but the majority getting back to school next week. One of the things that parents all talk about is, can definitely feel the hormones kicking in as we get our teenagers, right? Back to school, as you can see here. Well, hormones bring on a lot of things, Dr. Jensen, and one of those that the kids hate, because there's so many levels of what they deal with, is acne, right?
Yes, yes.
You probably see a lot of that.
A lot of acne, yeah, in all ages, but definitely in the teenage years, and we are seeing it over the summer with kids going back to school and becoming more aware of their complex and their, the complexion and how they look, how they appear to others.
So, there are a lot of people, and we're looking at some pictures of the unfortunate side of what these teenagers, but it's not just teenagers. There's adults, and there are women as they get into perimenopause, menopause, et cetera, that they deal with that. But some of it is more severe than others. So that's where I'm going to start immediately. What makes some just kind of break out? And then you just saw that last picture of those that have to deal with it all over their face, their chest, their back. What causes that?
I think it's like multifactorial. I think there's probably some genetics in there. There's definitely hormonal changes, especially with women's cycles. You can see fluctuation through the month. Sometimes bacteria. I think there's a lot of things, and even medications that we use can cause some acne as well.
So is this an old wives' tale, or truly, if they continue to, and I know isn't there a doctor called Dr. Pimple Popper?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So if the teenagers or adults are popping the pimples because they get some satisfaction out of that, are they creating scarring?
They can, and sometimes you can express that pimple, but also it can kind of pop inward, and it can cause more of infection. So and you can cause scarring. So I always tell patients, not all acne causes scarring, but most picking causes scarring, and a lot of patients are pickers. I mean, it's just in our nature. So we do try to avoid that, and my goal is to try to reduce the acne so that there's nothing to pick, right?
So if they see those whiteheads come up, what should they be doing?
Hopefully coming into so we can prevent them from coming up. But I mean, you can put a gentle pressure if there's something, but I really try to avoid any because
squeezing. You don't know what you're having on your hands, right?
Right. And it's better to really get in and get treatment. There's so many good options out there.
So let's talk about treatments. Again, if you're just tuning in, Dr. Sarah Jensen is my guest with Regional Dermatology, and that is what you want to do. So as your kids, and they may not have it right now, but then suddenly it comes on, take them in right away. What would you say this time of year, as we start to see kids go back to school, what percentage do you see change in a younger generation coming into you?
You mean what ages?
Yeah.
I mean, we see younger and younger kids, like 11, 12, 13 years old. And you can see even neonatal acne. I mean, you can see it at all ages. So really, there's so many different options, whether it's topical creams or oral medications or even chemical peels and things. There's lots of options for people who are maybe a little concerned about taking something oral at such a young age. There's definitely opportunities.
I'm glad you just said the thing about infants, because it's the same thing. Mothers or aunts or grandmas or whatever, they'll see the little whiteheads pop out, and I'm like, don't pop those.
Yeah, just leave those alone. Usually that's transient, typically. That usually doesn't hang around long.
It is. You said it's in our nature. It's crazy. It's like, as I mentioned, it's some kind of satisfaction, which is why that doctor came out, Dr. Pimple Popper. I mean, it's just crazy that we all are enthralled with that. Okay, so if someone comes in and it is just a few things that pop up, do you treat that differently than the full-blown inflamed ones?
Yeah, I mean, I might give them a cream like tretinoin we've talked about. That's the cream. It's like a topical form of Accutane, which a lot of people have heard of. And it's easy to use. It's just a tiny little, dot size of medicine on the face, maybe once a day or every other day. It can also work for adult women and men with like fine lines and discolorations on the face. So a lot of people use it for both the cosmetic use and also medical use.
Are there things that are out there that's over the counter, or unfortunately, as we've mentioned before, people watch these things on TV and they think, oh, that's good for me, and they're buying these. Is it wasting their money and that's bad for them?
Well, there are there's a lot of different products, Rodan and Fields, and then there's these online things I think you can do on your phone where you talk to maybe a doctor or some kind of professional and you get this stuff in the mail, Curology, all these different things. I'm not sure what those are running, but if you can get it through your insurance, you're already typically paying for your insurance anyways. Like, why not use it if you can? I mean, there's definitely some over-the-counter options. We've used Adapalene. That was a product that was a prescription but went over the counter. So if someone's just asking me about their kid at home, I'm seeing a patient and they're like, oh, my daughter's starting to get acne, I'll give them that recommendation. Try this over the counter first. If you're not getting results, come on in and bring her in. And let's
You just mentioned Rodan and Fields, and there are so many people that are out there. When I was in television, I can't tell you how many people would email me, hey, this is great, and I want you to be a part of it. I'm like, no. I mean, there's never been another thing that people had written me on to try to get me involved in it. And they were like, oh, these are big dermatologists that they're behind it. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I do think they have some good products. It's just the price point is very high. So, I mean, I just saw someone last week saying, I want to get off of this because I really can't afford it. What are the options? And there are products that you can just run through your insurance. So if you can, that's what I'll try to get them to do, switch over.
Right. Why try to do it out of, again, in the world that we're in, everywhere that you can save money is best.
Right.
So instead of doing that, they can come to you and then turn it into insurance.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like cleansers and moisturizers, you don't have to spend a lot of money on those. You can do that over the counter with Cetaphil, CeraVe, Dove. So I think a lot of the different products they may sell, you could get a lot cheaper, and then you're going to maybe spend your money on the prescription instead. So I think it's just so logical to try to use what you can. You know?
Again, if you have any questions about something that you're going through, or maybe you did and you can help out, because as I mentioned, from a physical standpoint, it's what we're seeing aesthetically, but it's the mental side. I mean, I've seen massive depression because they don't even want to get out because they're so embarrassed by their looks.
Yeah.
You probably deal with that as well.
I do. And we do put a lot of patients on Accutane. I try to use that over antibiotics because I just do worry about gut health and all with antibiotic use. And so we use a lot of Accutane, and the patients have parents and kids, they watch TikTok and all, and they see all these things about Accutane maybe causing depression or anxiety. But, there's lots of studies that show that acne causes more anxiety and depression than any medicine. And if you look at antibiotics and Accutane together, they didn't have any kind of increased risk with that medicine. But some medicines just get a bad rap and it stays with them, and it's hard to kind of, separate out the truth from the myth.
Right. Again, if you're just tuning in, if you have any questions, I'm going to look. We've got a couple questions coming in about acne. We're also going to talk about pigmentary issues. We're going to touch a little bit on skin cancer. We'll go deeper into that in a future show. So Jenny just said, my sweet girl struggles with acne so bad. Can you give any insight on the brand Panaxil? Panoxyl, that's over the counter. I have a 14-year-old girl really struggling with face, chest, and back.
Yeah, Panoxyl's great. It's a benzoyl peroxide. I mean, it's just a wash, a cleanser. It's antibacterial. It's a great product. You want to rinse it off really well because it can cause bleaching of your clothing or your sheets if you leave it on the skin. But it's a great start for an acne treatment.
She just said she's a big sports player. This is a great question, Jenny. Is there something that she can do with sweating so much?
That's a good question. I mean, I try not to reduce their sweating because I think that is obviously the body's cooling mechanism. But it's ironic because you would think that, exercise benefits you in so many ways, but we do see kids and adults who are more involved in sports can have acne flares. I'm not sure what's going on there, if it's the oils, if it's the sweat. Bacteria on the skin. We do try to have them clean any products like headgear, equipment with maybe a little vinegar solution or bleach solution, just so we're not getting bacterial overgrowth with those products that they use. But I try not to reduce the sweating because it is really your body's own mechanism, unless it's something excessive where they're really having hyperhidrosis, excess sweating, which can be a really difficult in their quality of life.
That's another depression thing that people deal with, right? And I think they always wonder, is it a certain deodorant I should be using? Is there something going on in my body that can change that? Is there?
Well, I think there's probably a genetic component to excess sweating.
Yeah.
And so there definitely are topical products you can use. You can take an oral pill to reduce the sweating, but there are side effects with that. And again, I don't want anyone overheating on the field or in the court. So I use those cautiously.
Okay. Again, if you have a question, another question coming in? Okay. If you have a question or a comment about acne, which is our first topic we're discussing this morning, please let us know. Michelle just said my son's back knee is finally cleared. He's so happy, as happy as a 16-year-old can express. His pediatrician gave him, you said it earlier, doxycycline,
an antibiotic, yes. And that can be very effective. We use it in small doses, maybe for the first 2 to 3 months while they get used to doing the topicals like tretinoin or the benzoyl peroxide. So it's a nice bridge to clear them up, and then we try to get them off as soon as we can. I'll often recommend a probiotic also, or increase yogurt or fermented foods, just because I do worry about gut health. If you've ever had a relative with C. diff, the bacterial infection that can affect the gut, once you've experienced that either yourself or with a family member, you really become more cautious about antibiotics in your life.
And Jenny asked, is a toner important in the skincare process also?
I don't really know the purpose of the toners. So we just do soaps and moisturizers. I'm not sure where the toners fit in, so I just avoid that extra step.
Okay, and again, she knows. If you look at the woman, she's beautiful. You can tell that she takes care of her skin for sure. So acne issues are what we're discussing. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to know, again, is it an old wives' tale with regards to what we're eating? Chocolate and acne have always been paired together. Is there an issue with it? We'll find out when we return. I hate to think that the season is almost coming to an end in the next few weeks. One of my favorite seasons is pool season, and I've truly enjoyed it. In fact, yesterday I was in mine with a really good book that I have to thank Lindsay Egan, who is a dear friend of both myself and Dr. Jensen. She gave me this book about deeply going into our soul. She said, I swear you wrote this book, Monica, because you're so similar to this woman. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet. So she gave me a book that I sat and just enjoyed some spa music in my earbuds and read the book and just immersed myself in the beauty of that backyard. Look, again, that's at Just Pools, the pool and spa specialist on the West Outer Road in Arnold. But if it wasn't in your backyard this year, it can be in years to come. They can get you on the list to install an in-ground or an above-ground pool for your backyard oasis. Use my friends at Just Pools for the pool and the spa. By the way, the new spas are coming in right now. 3987 West Outer Road South in Arnold. 636-464-7110. And if you have a pool right now and you want to stock up on chemicals for next year, you can do that. They've got 10% off of chemicals right now, and they're also getting you, maybe you have to get on the books with them to get your pools closed. Don't use anybody else. I trust them myself, and I want you as well. Just Pools, pool and spa specialist in Arnold. Welcome back again. If you're just tuning in, the Real Monica Adams Show. I'm your host, Monica Adams, and Dr. Sarah Jensen is my guest. Some good questions coming in, and we started the discussion about acne. You're all so intelligent. I just love these questions. So, Jenny said, great point. What probiotic do you suggest for a teenager to help?
Well, that's a good question because, the FDA doesn't regulate the supplements that are out there on the shelves. So I try to go with good products. In my office, we use orthomolecular.
Okay.
I've just found them to be very stable, and I really believe in their processing. I also follow, it's a website called Consumer Lab. You pay a small fee, but you have a subscription for the year, and they will go through and look at all those different supplements and compare them to one another. And you'd be surprised how little of a substance that one product may have compared to another, or maybe there's some kind of contaminants or heavy metals. And so, really want to look into what you're using,
Absolutely. And again, have a trusted source in there. Make sure that someone really knows how to take care of you. I would love for you, obviously, to see my friend, but if you can't get to her, make sure that you're not just trying all these things and just creating more issues for yourself. We also have Julie, who mentioned she had C. diff, and she said, man, it's bad, just like Dr. Jensen had said. Terry said, any recommendations for keratosis?
Pilaris.
Yes. On the arms. I've been to a couple dermatologists, and they suggest just keeping it clean and scrubbing it in light moisturizers. But I'd like to know your suggestions.
Oh, well, I have it too, as do half of my kids. It's autosomal dominant, meaning 50% of your kids, if you have them, will experience it well. And it's little bumps that occur on the backs of the arms, maybe the backs of the legs, and sometimes the cheeks. And they can be hair follicles that get kind of plugged with skin. And so it gets a little bumpy. It feels a little sandpapery. And so I will often say you could use a light sugar scrub in the shower, but you have to be careful because it's a sign that your skin is more sensitive than someone else's. I like CeraVe SA. It's got salicylic acid. It's over the counter. It's also CeraVe for rough and bumpy skin. It goes by a few names. But that, just like a coating of that in the day, in the morning, once a day, if you continue it, you have to really maintain it. But that that can be very helpful. And we do also do a compounded prescription, one of these where old fashioned where they mix them all together and ship it to you. So we have another one of those in the office as well.
Great questions. Again, keep them coming in. I went into the break saying, is it an old wives' tale or does chocolate cause acne? So let's get to the bottom of this.
When I was in residency, it was kind of debated, and it was thought that, the foods do not cause acne. I think we're looking back at that, and maybe there is a suggestion that maybe dairy might lead to acne, especially like the low fat or non-fat, because of the higher sugar content in that substance. I do notice that there are people who have rosacea who have flares with acne, with chocolate, red wine, sometimes spicy foods, sometimes coffee. Everyone has their trigger. So I tell people, if you notice that you have a flare, I had a good friend, every time she drank red wine, big flare of rosacea. And rosacea is a form of like adult acne. So we do see that definitely.
Again, many people have heard over the years it's milk chocolate that creates it. If you eat more dark chocolate, maybe you don't have. I heard, though, from some doctors that said maybe there's still more studies that have to be done on it, but we think it is the amount that you're bringing more and more sugar, as you just said, into the body. So it's not just like one little piece and then immediately it'll break out, but it's excess of eating, which again, we're always trying to tell you to get that in order.
Right. And I do think sugar in itself is like pro-inflammatory. So if people have like other conditions like hidradenitis, like boils under the skin, or acne, or these other conditions, psoriasis even, we will try to reduce the sugars in their skin, so reduce their carbs, not really go keto, but try to reduce those carbs in the diet,
I saw something, I think, last night. Is it blue light therapy? Tell me about that.
Blue light therapy is something that I use. I mean, I do believe it's been used for acne. We don't use it for that. We use it actually for sun damage. So people will actually put a little light coating of a substance on the skin in the office. They'll wait a few hours for it to sort of take effect. It makes the skin more sensitive to the blue light, and then it reacts. All the sun damaged skin reacts to it. It's a little bit of a process, but it can help. We have other modalities that I like better. I like another chemotherapy cream that you can use in the winter time to really clean up the sun damage. But blue light is getting more popular for acne. We just haven't used it because, again, it's not really covered by insurance, and it's a repetitive treatment. So I really try to think about the economics of it and people's lives. They're busy. They're not going to run into the office every 6 or 8 weeks.
Yet another reason I love her. Look, she's trying to take care of the money that we are feeling like is constantly going away from us. It's trying to keep it for us. Again, acne, pigmentary issues. And then if we have time, it looks like we're probably not going to get a chance to. We want to talk a little bit about pigmentary issues, but skin cancer, I do want to kind of mix it in because as we start to wrap up summer, do you see people start to come in as we go and transition into the fall and had no idea the amount of damage that they did to their skin over the summer?
Yeah, and I don't know. We go through waves where I have seen so much melanoma lately. Like every other day, I feel like we're seeing another melanoma we biopsied, and it just seems to run in waves for some reason. Yes, but we see people who are sort of cleaning up their skin at the end of summer. We see a lot of women come in towards the end of summer into fall who have developed melasma, the kind of mottled pigment of the skin on the cheeks. Sometimes it happens after pregnancy, sometimes after just a lot of sun. I think there's definitely a genetic component, but they kind of want to clean all that up now that they've been through, the lake time and the poolside time, and I experienced that myself in my younger years. And so I really feel for them as well.
Sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. We can't say it enough. But I'm glad we brought this up. It is important for you to understand as you're transitioning out of summer, you're going into fall, you're going into winter, we should always have some kind of sunscreen on us. It doesn't matter the season, correct?
I did it just this first thing today. It's right by my toothbrush. This is a lightweight, doesn't have to be heavy, doesn't have to be really thick. Lightweight on the face and forearms, maybe back of the neck if you have short hair like me. Just because we see a lot driving, going to the grocery store, going to get mail. And I hear patients say, well, I'm not out that much, but we all get out here and there. And it's those little bits of sun. We do need some. So I do think 10, 15 minutes of sunshine without your sunblock can be helpful to keep your vitamin D level up because we are indoors more than we have been in the past, So I think there's a balance. It's like the chocolate, that you described. You
Everything in life.
You don't want to eat it all day. You want little bits throughout the day. So it's just moderation, is key.
In moderation and balance of life. Yes. All right. You are very talkative today, folks. I love this. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the show. By the way, always let us know if you're new to the show, where you're watching from, etc. Dr. Sarah Jensen, let me give her locations and we'll give them again here in about 20 minutes. If you have not been to see her, she can get you in for all of these things and more to her 2 locations. Jim and I are going, if she has an opening, this Friday.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So there's one in Chesterfield and one in Festus. I was pretty much saying, yeah, they're both good. One could be when I'm leaving the office, which would be Chesterfield. The Festus one, not far from us either. You pick the one that makes the most sense for you. There are the phone numbers on the screen. Write those down, or just remember that we're at about 7:40 in the morning and grab it at this point of the show if you want to go back to it. And then spread this with those that you know are needing to get in as well. Regionaldermatology.com. And then there is the location. It's on Conway Road in Suite C, 15320 Conway Road in Chesterfield. And then 1463 Highway 61, Suite B in Festus. Again, their west and their south locations. And yes, she can get you in. You do not have to wait 6-9 months, a year to try to get in. Michelle commented, by the way, you mentioned earlier the Gold Bond Rough and Bumpy Skin Cream. She said it's absolutely amazing. So she's seconding that to you. Terry, can we try the compound medicine that you mixed? My daughter's moving to school this week and has had a big flare-up of keratosis. Not sure if you can provide a sample of the compound.
You know, they don't sample it because it's not really a trade, product. But we see patients on telehealth, like over the, they're just on their phones. We can squeeze people in before school. We've had a lot of kids who've needed to get in before they go off to college. So we definitely can squeeze them in. I wish I could have a sample, but it's something that they actually make kind of
That's
the
what I thought.
old-time pharmacists, you know. And so, and it comes in the mail, so it can actually be shipped to their dorm or wherever they're headed. We can get them in. If we
There you
need.
go, Terry.
Yeah.
So why don't you just give her a call today or do the telehealth aspect, and she can take care of your daughter before she goes back to school. Julie said, I just switched to another dermatologist because of location, but she didn't do a full body look, only looked at my head about psoriasis. And then I came back and she said, any issues? I mentioned a red line on my forehead and she gave me the shot. What do you think about switching to another dermatologist? The first derm doctor done... hold on a second. That doesn't make sense. The first derm doctor, should say, did all the full body, but with the distance, I chose one closer to my daughter's house in Imperial. Well, she's in Festus, by the way.
Right. And we'll do full body skin checks. We encourage patients to get in a gown. I think we find patients are more reluctant to get in the gown, so we find that we're struggling to actually get them to undress so we can see the hood. And I tell patients, it's like bringing your car to the mechanic and not opening the hood. I don't have the x-ray vision, not yet. And so we do. And so we have more reluctance. We find we're kind of pulling teeth to get people to get into the gown. So we're very happy when patients are very willing to let us look at their skin.
We're going to get really close on Friday. She's going to go, I've seen her all. Jenny said, sorry for all my questions. Last question. What all-over body lotion is good for her with body acne that's not pore clogging? Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good question. I mean, I find Cetaphil, CeraVe, they're very lightweight. Those are my two go-tos, really. Most over-the-counter products are going to be non-comedogenic, meaning non-acne forming. So they should be pretty lightweight. I would say some of the ointment-based ones, maybe oils or ointments, the greasy kind of Vaseline, Aquaphor, that might be pretty occlusive for someone who develops acne. So
Right, I
would
would
avoid
think.
those.
And that's the other thing. All of us that have ever gone in to get facials, and you're asked the question, is your skin more oily? Is it dry? Is it a combination? And I don't know how many times people have said, I don't know. I don't know my skin.
Yeah.
So if they come into you, do you say you're more apt to be oily?
You can kind of tell,
yeah.
Also, just based on the kind of acne they have. Patients who are more oily tend to make more kind of yeast-based acne. There's bacteria that causes acne. There's also yeast. And so I think we can usually tell which direction we have to go. And it is hard when you have dry skin and then you're also developing acne.
Right.
A lot of the products we have dry you out, so we have to be really careful about not overdoing it.
Yep. I mean, that's the thing that people struggle with. Either they're extremely oily, they don't want to bring more oils on, or they feel like they have flaky skin and they don't want that, and it's constantly running against each other. Let's see. I thought I saw him before. Ashlyn. Ashlyn asked, what is the fastest way to get rid of dark spots? Toners, vitamin C?
Dark spots, so it depends where they are, but on the face, I would say vitamin C serums are great for that. You have to be careful with vitamin C because it's very unstable, so you have to get a good product that you know. We carry Obagi. We also do the compounding to another pharmacy. So we trust those lines. And then tretinoin or retin-A, like we talked about for acne, also works on spots on the face. So that's a first-line treatment that we do as well. So between the vitamin C and the tretinoin and sunblock, obviously.
Terry, well, I'll let her answer, but she said, I may have missed this important detail, but do you take health insurance?
Oh, yeah. We take health insurance. We take self-pay. We have a discounted self-pay price because we know health insurance is so expensive these days, and some people just can't afford it.
Yes. Anne, good morning to you and Dr. Sarah. Dr. Sarah, thank you for helping me with my rosacea. She just said, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Yes, so she's one of our viewers that's already gotten in. Luann, what body lotion do you recommend for extremely dry skin?
For extremely dry skin, I'm in the same boat. After I hit menopause, my skin just became so dry, so itchy. I personally like ointment based. So unlike the person who has the acne, prone skin, we'll use ointments like, personally, I like coconut oil. We have a product by Abbey Rose that comes in a container. I can't keep it on my shelf because my kids take off with it left and right. Even olive oil can be simple, as long as it's cold pressed because you don't want a lot of additives. Vaseline, Aquaphor, all those really greasy, ointment based or oils can really help, because as we age, we lose oil. So we have to really bring that back. And you'd be surprised how few people moisturize their skin. When I ask them, well, what do you use for soap and moisturizer? And they're like, oh, I don't use moisturizer, or maybe here and there. Well, I have to put on it every day.
Every day.
Yes. Yeah.
And is it also true that we should be doing it as soon as we get out of the shower?
Within 2 minutes out of the shower is what I say.
And you want to tell them why?
Well, just to really retain that moisture. Also, it's just great. Like you build your, kind of a habit. You build that schedule. And if you are used to doing it, you just continue. And it's hard to add a new habit. So I tell people, just link a new habit to an old one. So if you're going to use that sunblock, put it by your toothbrush. If you're going to make sure it's a pump, make sure things are easy to use. You want to make it simple and not one extra step of your day.
Again, just building upon good habits. Yes, it is literally the very first thing. Out of the shower, right to the lotion. And I also tell everybody, again, we're giving you tips for overall mental, spiritual, physical health. I tell people, you talked about toothbrush. This is a little pro tip for you from a trainer. If you are getting cravings late at night and you're not wanting to give in to the cravings, brush your teeth. Brush your tongue. You will not eat that, because you'll be like, all right, never mind. Bedtime is ready, right? And then drink some water, and then you'll get rid of that. So we have talked, I think I'm going to do 100 Days to Freedom from overeating today, because it's just kind of fitting. But you talked about gut health. Is there something that parents should be doing with regards to the acne aspect of trying to get into their kids' bodies a little bit more? I know sometimes they'll fight against you. They're reluctant to try things, but you're trying to get their gut health a lot healthier, and you don't know what they're maybe grabbing when they're at school, and then they're coming home, and you're just kind of fighting against that. But slowly, what can we do? They need to be eating more what?
Well, to keep the gut health in check, really, we should be eating 30 different varieties of fruits and vegetables, all different colors. And that can even include spices, like turmeric, cayenne. Those can be inclusive in that number. I do give my kids a probiotic daily, so they, increase their gut health. My father, suffered from C. diff in the hospital. And once you've seen that, you really want to continue that, keep that gut health in check. We try to avoid antibiotics as much as we can. Yeah. My kids really just don't go to those when they get sick. They kind of try to stave it off. Yogurt intake, especially yogurts with lower sugar, because those yogurts can really have a lot of sugar, in them. So in a balanced diet, I mean, we struggle with it. We're a busy family. It's easy to just grab something, to go, or, fast food. And we try to limit how much fast food we have in the house. Yes. It's always a challenge with teenagers, but we do our best.
Yes, I understand. Parents, I don't have kids, but all of you that I have friends who have them, it's constantly, oh, but Monica, this is what they're wanting. And I'm like, I know, I get it, but we got to try to keep them in check and continue to teach the balance of life, right? So very important. Julie said, I'm guilty of not moisturizing myself. Yes. Thank you for all your help and advice this morning, praying maybe I can get her in this week before school starts. You can. Trust us. I wrote her last night and said, all right, Jim and I are going to come in on Friday because he's off. There are your numbers, by the way, Jenny and everybody else. Whichever one's best for you. I'm guessing Chesterfield, for where you live, that would be your easiest. So 636-237-0030. Get her in, and if she really is suffering that badly, it's really to help out as well. Food and with the depression that settles in. She said the food is a hard battle for teenagers. it's a hard battle for life, but until you really get someone to take care of that for you, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left, so we'll probably touch on it a little bit and we'll probably carry it over. We're going to talk about pigmentary issues. If you have any other comments or questions about acne, feel free to drop them in. We'll have more with Dr. Sarah Jensen when we return.
The world needs to be more positive.
Yep.
You know, the world, and I'm spreading positivity with my air fresheners. So,
You and I both,
yes.
Sadly, I wasn't aware of the Monica Adams show until recently, and was I missing out?
I'm definitely going to turn this on in the mornings on our TV.
She's helping people to understand their value. She's helping women to transform their lives.
From the minute that we walked in, I felt just really comfortable and at home here.
You are always a ray of sunshine and positivity.
Thank you for what you do. I love this whole thing that you're doing.
It's good news. It's great news. It's uplifting and empowering.
But you were engaged, and I love that. So thank you so much.
Welcome back, 7:50, and our Medical Monday. If you are new to the show, we do this on Mondays for you, so we can really take care of your health in our Ask the Doctor segment, which I have absolutely loved. I'm a big passion for medicine. A lot of you know that was my background before I had my massive blood clot. I was studying sports medicine. My dream was to be an orthopedic surgeon. I use all those studies in my personal training and in my wellness, and with all the different ages that I've worked with, which, by the way, is 10 years old is my youngest, and 94, my oldest. It doesn't matter your age. We want to take care of your health. And we're talking about overall health, right? We talked about acne. And again, if you have any other questions or comments about it, feel free to drop those in. Otherwise, from a pigmentary issue standpoint, there are so many levels of that. What do you see most in pigmentary problems?
I would say what we talked about, the melasma is the most common we see. I think just the amount of outdoor activity we see in the summer here, people going to the lake or the pool or Florida vacations. So a lot of women suffer from that mask of pregnancy, sort of spots or islands of pigment that can happen. Even upper lip, I suffered with it in medical school. It's tough. And so you can really protect all year long, but just go out maybe for a gardening or golfing day and it pops right back up. It can be really disabling for some patients, really quality of life issue. So I think there's probably a little genetics that go into play, definitely sun exposure. Sometimes if we're on an estrogen, like a birth control pill, or post-pregnancy with all those hormonal fluctuations, we'll see flares of that.
Really? Interesting. Well, I had a friend of mine that was in high school, and she used to get so embarrassed, and she's like, what is wrong? And I don't know if she finally went to a dermatologist for it, but I would see it because back then we weren't wearing a lot of makeup. Now I think a lot of people will wear things to cover it up, but I would see the brown spotting and stuff that she would have on her skin, whether that was from skin exposure or if it
probably from sun exposure and a little bit of her genetics and hormonal maybe fluctuations. So that's exactly what we're talking about. So we'll use vitamin C serums, we'll use tretinoin. Often if it's like in the middle of winter, we'll do some really deep chemical peels where you have like a week's worth of like recovery. I do all those myself and for patients, so it can be very helpful.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Chemical. People hear that word, chemical peels, and I have heard so many people tell me, well, that just sounds like it's going to be rough for my skin. Is it going to hurt?
There is like kind of a peak. You can tell just by the way I start. Yeah, there is kind of this peak, kind of curl your toes kind of sensation. But I think women especially go through a lot of different, procedures that can be a little discomfort, so they tolerate it pretty well. We have ways to kind of cool the skin, but there is kind of that deep breathing through some of the chemical peels that we do.
Is it like pregnancy?
yeah. But I would say it's like 90 seconds to 2 minutes of like intense discomfort, and then it subsides, and people walk away, and they don't have any kind of sensation of that regard. The skin tightens for the next few days, and you lose that kind of outer layer of skin, which is not uncomfortable at all. It may be a little dry, a little itchy, but yet they keep moisturized. They can go back to work. They might look a little bit like they've had a sunburn, but it does very well to kind of get rid of that outer damage. But I think the other products, the topical creams, vitamin C is really essential, plus your sunblock as well, to really maintain that benefit we get from the chemical peel.
And I was just going to ask what you just said, which was, can you return to your daily functions, your work, your school, etc., or are there some things you would have to do that you would say, oh, maybe there needs to be a little more downtime?
We try to do it like on a Thursday or Friday because definitely there is some time where the skin kind of looks tight and it might be a little darker before it starts to slough. So it would be a little odd at work. You might have to explain yourself a bit. Just depends on their line of work. Some people are, working from home or maybe not, public facing. So it all depends. But we work around whatever that situation is.
And when they're having it done, should they not be putting makeup back over it?
Right. It's just really moisturizer because it'll cake. It really doesn't look great anyway. So there's no real way to camouflage it.
And there's some things that you've talked about in the past shows that you leave for more of the med spas and not necessarily do within your office.
Yeah, these are medical grade peels. These are not the peels that you're getting like at lunchtime or just, with the spa treatments with the girls. These are medical grade
luncheon
treatments.
peel.
Yeah.
No, this is again a doctor taking care of you. You're not, and it's covered by your insurance.
Well,
or are they not?
Some of the chemical peels you can't. And if you have a lot of sun damage and we're trying to treat some of those precancers, we do chemical peels for that. If it's really for more than just the brown spots, unfortunately, most insurances won't cover that and they consider it cosmetic. It's pretty tough. I mean, we have patients with vitiligo where they lose the color of their skin. And even that can be hard to get covered by insurance, which is, to me, kind of mind-boggling because it really is a quality of life issue.
You guys are all, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say guys. I'm trying to get that out of my vocabulary. I say it to my clients when I'm personal training. I'm like, okay, you guys. All right, ladies. Sorry, ladies. Come on. Let's see. Ashlyn, I usually shower at the end of the day whenever I'm tired, so it feels like a chore to moisturize. But you have to just make it a part of your life. Oh, she said, I'm an adult and I'm still a picky eater. Yeah, right? Amazing show, ladies. Hi, Lindsay. Lindsay Egan's on. Love seeing you two together. What does a chemical peel do? What are the effects? If you already answered, you don't have to repeat. We did. But is there anything else about the chemical peel you want to add?
It really just takes off that outer layer of skin. It's just a much more intense. Your tretinoin and the creams that we use also do the same thing to a lesser degree, but we're really just kind of like a snake. We're shedding that outer layer of skin.
Don't leave your skin around, though.
No. Yeah.
For work, just bring a note from the doctor. LOL. That's funny. Yes. Yeah. As you're going back. Again, great topics. And this is what we thought is that we never know. Sometimes you're all very quiet. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you ask a lot of questions. And then if you feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't get a chance to slip my question in before they wrapped up. What I have loved is Dr. Jensen is so good at keeping an eye on the shows and commenting back to you. You're welcome, Lindsay. Commenting back to you and being able to answer any questions that you have because we want you to be heard even if you couldn't come on to the live. And we know some of you are able to pop on. You pop on for 5-10 minutes. You miss parts of the show. But share this because you have no idea the impact that you have on all of those that follow you, that are part of your social media pages. And then we obviously continue to follow from there. I want to thank my team behind the scenes. Tia's working on a lot of stories and reels that she will post because sometimes people don't watch the full-blown post, but they look at stories and reels. So thank you to Kelsey and Ashlyn and Tia, as well as, of course, Zach and George directing the show. Before we wrap up, anything else on the pigmentary side? Because we can carry these over. I think a lot of people, we didn't touch on this, but for those that look and think, what is the reasoning for the changing and the coloring of my skin? My husband was asking this the other day and saying, isn't it interesting as we get older? He's like, I think things change. And when you're out, like you think, not that we all want to have sun damage, but you think about when you're in your teen years or you're a young adult and how easily you can tan. Mm-hmm. He was just mentioning this and he's like, it changes. He's like, I don't, he's like, ask her that. Does it change?
It does change. I mean, I didn't know that myself. I was reading up about menopause and, there's male menopause and female menopause, but our melanocytes they're not as active as we age. So it's same. I can be out in the sun, although I do protect. I used to tan, immediately, even without trying, sitting in the shade, with my umbrella, I'd still tan, but I just don't get that color anymore. So
unless you guess, well, we haven't talked about spray tans. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. I've been spray tanning just like when I'm emceeing events and whatever, and I want to look like I'm dark, or I'll even go on vacation and I start my vacation darker than I end my vacation because I've come off spray tans. That was actually something somebody had asked. So can we cover that in a future show?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so spray tans and whether they're good or are we doing harm with that. You're all welcome. Everybody's saying thank you. Thank you, ladies. This was very informative. You're welcome. One more time before we take a break and do our 100 Days to Freedom, our 2 locations for regional dermatology, one west and one south. There's a Chesterfield location right there, Regional Dermatology West, and Regional Dermatology South. Give them a call for yourself or your kiddos and get them in. As Dr. Jensen mentioned, she can get them in before they start school, they're going back to college, or they can do telehealth also possibly. All these opportunities for you. Don't wait any longer. Yes, spray tans, let's see, my jam. Tell me they are good, Lordy. Oh, you're going to have to hang on. That's the tease. We're going to do that. Can we do that? Oh, so she was mentioning she's taking her kiddos to school. Where are they going to school?
One's headed to San Diego and one's headed to Indiana University.
Wow. You're going to go to
week,
both ends of the spectrum.
Back to back, yeah.
Have fun with that.
They're actually the spray tan queens. I mean, I really should get them in here.
Can they join us on a link?
I'll see if they will, yeah.
All right, so we've got a bunch of great shows to come up. And we mentioned skin cancer. We knew we probably weren't going to be able to go deep into it, but I do want to talk about that. As many of you are coming out of the summer, going into the fall, and all of a sudden having a wake-up call, what kind of damage maybe had been done to your skin. We'll do that. Let's do that in our next one.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. All right, quick break, and then 100 Days to Freedom from overeating when we return.
Come on, Monica. Let's go, St. Louis. Turn and burn.
Hello, Miss Monica.
Monica.
Hi, guys. This is a good one. Sometimes you spend like 10 years and you don't got one like this.
Hi, Monica.
It's a feast. It's like a 17-course meal. You're just like, you need a minute. With wine. With a wine pairing. And a whiskey pairing.
That is what? There it is.
I think I just had the most beautiful experience. I saw fireworks.
Thank you, Monica, for making our day.
Welcome back, 8 o'clock. And if you are new, you might not know that we end all of our shows with these devotionals, 100 Days to Freedom from depression, from fear and anxiety, from shame, from anger. And this one's from overeating, which I know a lot of people deal with. It's called Stop Beating Yourself Up. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. This is from 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. Have you ever received forgiveness or a second chance when it was completely unexpected and unwarranted? If so, can you understand the feelings of relief and gratitude that flow after that? Well, grace is something given to us that we do not deserve. It is one of the most beautiful and elegant forms of love from God. When we beat ourselves up for our mistakes, we land in a sea of guilt and helplessness. The grace given by God allows us to have the energy to begin to be kinder to ourselves. Freedom from an unhealthy relationship with food begins with us first having compassion for ourselves. God promises His power is perfect in our own weakness. Once we feel and we receive the grace that comes from the heart of God, we will be able to give it freely to others. God's grace is the umbrella for the journey of change. Oh, I like that. Henry Cloud says, grace is the first ingredient necessary for growing up in the image of God. Grace is unbroken, uninterrupted, unearned, accepting relationship. Grace then is the aspect of God's character. Bill Johnson said, our faith can only go as far as our awareness of God's goodness. And Philip Yancey says, grace means there's nothing I can do to make God love me more, and nothing I can do to make God love me less. It means that I, even I, who deserve the opposite, am invited to take my place at the table in God's family. I have been life coaching for a long time and tell my clients all the time, give yourself some grace. Stop beating yourself up. Yes, something happened, but let's not live in that space. It's not going to serve you. I get rid of things that don't serve me. In fact, I have friends and family bring things up, and they're like, their eyes are this big. You don't remember that? And I'm like, it doesn't even feel like it was a part of my life. I literally erase things that don't serve me moving forward. Why stay in that space? Today's prayer, dear God, I am so thankful for your grace. Your forgiveness and love have transformed my life. Help me to extend your grace and love to others. This is not possible in my own strength. I humbly ask for your help. Amen to that. So for those that want to know about these, Ashlyn just dropped it in for you. It's Steve Arterburn, and it's 100 Days to Freedom. I think there's 1 or 2 other books that I don't have, but you can get those. People have asked where I got mine. I got mine at The Crossing in Chesterfield. You can find them, I think, on Amazon, wherever you want to get some self-help books. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, we love it. It means the world to us, whether you were live or you watch this later. If you watch it later, just do a hashtag replay, and that'll grab my attention. Myself and Dr. Jensen, we're here for you each and every day. Tomorrow, a story of hope. Jeannie Baumgartner joins me. And first of all, one of the most wonderful women that I've met in my life. She's got a heart of gold, and you'll see that just come through the screen for tomorrow. She's a wonderful real estate agent that has affected a lot of people's lives, but it's what she's recently gone through when she had to go the journey of getting amputated. Wow, what a story she has to tell us. And just the faith that she has leaned in on, always being faith-based, her family and herself. A true story of hope that comes tomorrow morning. Thank you all so very much for all that you do to bring love and light to the world. And remember what we always tell you, you can change lives. If you don't think you, yourself, one person can make an impact on this world, just watch what happens when you spread the love of kindness. God bless you all.